With another EndWar on the horizon, I figured it's time I go back over my HvZ loadout. Hi guys, Hound's Armory here. Before we get into this junk, go ahead and do the YouTube things, you know, like, subscribe, say hi in the comments, and go check out my Patreon. I've got the new poll for my Patreon pick series coming up soon, so make sure you check that out. So, jump into this stuff. So before we jump into what my gear is, I want to talk about where you start building a loadout, and that is with your primary blaster. More specifically, the ammo type of your primary blaster. Now, when I play HvZ, my primary blasters are either this, my Strifle, or this, my Alpha Trooper. This is an Elite Alpha Trooper. It's pretty standard. But back to my Strifle. This is a select fire solenoid-driven Strifle that runs Fang revamped and some wheels. I can't remember what wheels. It gets about 120 FPS on average, usually between 110 120, which is perfect for most HvZ games. When it's a little spicy, that's usually when I drop down to my Alpha Trooper, or if it's, you know, raining. The important thing with this, of course, everyone runs a slightly different blaster. That's the cool thing about our hobby, but the important thing is these, the magazines, or more specifically, the ammo type. For HvZ, I still run full-length darts, with one exception. We'll get to that. And that is because the performance on especially things like Adventure Force Waffles or AccuFakes is just fine. They're plenty accurate. I can hit a man-sized target at 20, 30 feet easily with one, sometimes two shots if I whirly bird. So I find this performance fine. Of course, things like Rival you're gonna carry it differently. Half darts are gonna be more compact, and that's just gonna impact the way you build your loadout. So I think this is a good loadout to draw inspiration from for our 50 caliber dart standard. And if you're running something like Mega, you could probably draw some inspiration from this loadout. So now let's get into the gear. So yeah, we're starting here with no gear on, but this is what I call my zero line gear, or my clothes, my baseline. It is the most important part of your loadout, in my opinion, besides like water, your Camelback. Hail Hydrate. This is because this is what makes you comfortable and makes you mobile on the field. So let's start at the bottom like you would at any suit of armor and go up to the top, and I'll tell you what I'm wearing and what I would suggest. So to start, I'm wearing running shoes. I like running shoes or combat boots or hiking boots usually, depending on the weather, depending on what time of year it is. And this is because in all of those options I can run. I know my ankles and my feet are going to be stable, and I know my feet aren't falling out of my shoes. For the love of Captain Xavier and whoever else you find important, don't wear flip-flops. Don't wear Crocs. Don't wear sandals. It's just a recipe for disaster. Don't do it. Wear something closed-toed, something that laces up tight, and something that you can run in. Part of that is also a good pair of socks so your feet stay dry and you don't get any chafing or athlete's foot going on down there. Change your socks at least once a day to make sure that you stay healthy. PSA aside, we're moving up to my pants, or today my shorts. Often I will play pants if it is cooler out because it helps when you're running through bushes and whatnot, or if you accidentally slip and fall. It helps you stay a little more protected. I know a lot of people like wearing knee pads. I haven't found a pair of knee pads that I like. I would love a pair of knee pads that is low profile, stays close to my knee, and doesn't slide around when I'm running, but is not a built-in knee pad, because I don't want to wear the same pair of pants every time I go nerfing. But like I said, today I'm wearing shorts because it is hot. It is 90-something degrees out here while I'm filming this. My camera keeps overheating, but we're doing what we can do. And shorts are just fine, especially in the summer, especially for big events like EndWar, where there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of body heat. Stay cool, stay healthy, stay hydrated. That's how you have fun. That's how you keep having fun during games like this. Attached to that, I have a belt. This is not my combat belt. We'll get to that later. This belt is simply to hold my pants up and my shirt in. Yep, this is just a good old-fashioned geezer belt. Keeping your pants up is really important because you can't run away with the zombie if your pants are around your knees and you're tripping over them. So keep your pants up, and I like to tuck in my shirt while I'm nerfing, while I have gear on, because it's one less thing for things to get snagged on. And you're covered up in all your gear. People can't see it anyway. You look cleaner, you look cooler with your shirt tucked in once you have your gear on, even though you look kind of dorky otherwise. So I like it. It's kind of a preference thing, but do what you want. Moving up from there, today I have on my Hound's Armory team shirt, which has the logo on the sleeve and on the back. If you want some Hound's Armory merch, there is a link to a Teespring down in my description. If you're interested. I like a more workout shirt, tech shirt approach, something that's gonna wick sweat well, something that's gonna hold to your body tight and make sure you're not sliding your gear over your skin, rubbing your skin too much, getting chafed, or getting super wet and nasty. So a good t-shirt is a good way to go. Now I do have a watch on my hand, backwards. This is my Shark Freestyle. I love this watch, I wear it every day, but usually I don't wear it with the face on the inside of my wrist. Now this matters. It's a small detail, but I think it matters. Most of the HvZ games I play, the zombies respawn on a timer. So every 5, 10, 15 minutes, the zombies will be respawning, which is very important to know. Now, when you're walking around, you're not engaged, it's not a big deal, because you doing this versus this is about the same to know what time it is. But when you are engaged, when you are fighting zombies, you're up on your primary blaster, you're fending off the zombies, you think it's been however long, you can glance down from this position, only moving your eyes, and know what time it is. For example, right now it is 1:05. So, little detail, I like it. Lastly, on the zero line or baseline gear is my headgear, which I think is very important protective wear. First of all, eye pro. Get good eye pro. I think I got these for like $5 at Walmart. They're just workshop glasses that have a cushioned nose piece and cushioned or rubberized legs. They sit on my face super comfortably. They've got a very little gap around the edges. They don't fog up too much on me. They're super comfortable and they protect my eyes. Eye pro is not optional for anything where projectiles are involved. Wear your eye pro. Finally, I have my hat. This is just a cheap hat with some Velcro on it because I wanted to put patches on it, but something to keep the sun off my face is great. I have my Valhalla Admit 1 ticket on there because I think it's cool. And I also find it helpful when I'm running my GoPro rig and have my camera on my head. That's a new thing. I haven't gotten to enough wars to feel comfortable with it to put that footage on the channel, but if you want to see it, let me know and I'll try at my next war to get some better footage. And it keeps the GoPro from sliding on my head too much. I like it. It's good stuff. So that's my baseline or my zero line gear. Let's move on to the more interesting stuff, shall we? All right, now onto my first line gear. That is the first layer of gear that I put on, kind of my basics. So you can't see much of it right now, so let's change camera angles real quick. So this is my second line gear, and this is one of the major changes from the last time I did this video 2 years ago, I think. The main change is now it is 2 parts. It consists of a fanny pack and a battle belt. Just to start, because it's the top layer, the fanny pack is just a very tactical looking, simple 1 pouch, 2 pocket fanny pack that keeps my essentials. So basically everything that would normally go into my pockets goes in here. So phone, wallet, keys, as well as emergency tools. So a flashlight, a screwdriver, a set of Allen keys, a voltmeter, basically anything that I would have to do emergency repairs or emergency checks to make sure I'm not gonna hurt anyone or myself with my blasters can be done with this bag, as well as things like a first aid kit live in here. The reason it's now separate from my main battle bag, this used to be a pouch on my battle belt, is so I can sit down easier. A lot of times when I'm in between missions or I'm going to my car, I'll take off my second line gear, but I don't want to take off my first line gear just for simplicity's sake. With the fanny pack, I can swing it around front and it can sit in front of me, and now my back is mostly open. I can sit more comfortably, as well as I can now swing it around in front of me and have better access to the insides. I can look into it. I like this fanny pack a lot. It's got a nice bright liner, easy to see into. I'll try to find a Amazon link for it, but if I can't, sorry. Now onto my battle belt, and this is incredibly simple, except it houses my sidearms. Yes, I said sidearms. In my previous version, I ran 2 hammer prime blasters. I am currently running a slightly heavier loadout with a slightly different setup. To start, we'll start with what should be my primary sidearm, but is actually my secondary sidearm on my right, and that is one of my Sweet Revenges. These things are too reliable and too good to leave alone. I think you should always have some sort of springer on your loadout, simply because sometimes you want to be quiet, and flywheels, especially modern flywheels on lipos, are loud. So being able to pull something, even if it's just 5 shots, to get that element of surprise is super handy. It also lives on my right because that is not my main emergency sidearm. That's on my left, which is my HvZ Nerf Works concept pistol. I'm currently in the process of rebuilding this, so it's not quite fully painted, and I'm working on some custom mods for it. But I now have the slide lock version, so I can now holster it without thinking it's gonna rev forever. I usually put it in the holster and then flip the slide lock off so I can draw and fire quickly. I am running it with the custom equalizer mags. I find they run 7, I think one of mine can fit 8 darts in it for some reason. They work great, they fit really well in the blaster, and the lip on the front makes them super easy to pull out with the heel mag release that this thing has. I think this is a good blaster, especially with the new updates. Once I finish this rebuild, I'll do another review of it on my channel, and then I will probably end up putting a link to it in the comments. But this is my main sidearm. That is because it is a high volume of fire. Not only does it hold more rounds than my Sweet Revenges, but it's also a flywheeler, so it is faster. So that is for the oh shoot, I'm gonna die moment, a better draw. Not to mention that with my primary usually slung on my right, it's a quicker transition to for my left hand, but I can also draw it in my left with my primary on my right and dual wield semi-auto flywheelers if I'm in that bad of a situation. That's never happened to me before. I've always been able to manage holding off big hordes with my strifle, and then have to transition to this when my strifle runs low, or if my strifle jams. But it is still good to have that capability. It's a lot about that blaster, but that's that. I of course am holding those in my blaster parts modular holsters. These are the small size. I love these things. They're so comfortable. I think I've made 2 modifications to them, and the whole time I'm using them. If you want me to go through what those are and kind of walk through how to do those, let me know in the comments. And in the magazine pouches on the front, I run more equalizer mags for my HvZ concept pistol. Now, ideally, I would like some mag holding on my right hip. It's a little bit faster of a reload for me, but I currently haven't found a pouch that works well for that. That still fits on my 2-inch old military surplus battle belt, which I don't plan on getting rid of anytime soon. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments, because I would like to make that change. The last thing on my belt is a dump pouch. This is again a blaster parts dump pouch because it folds up so nicely and is very quick to pull open and deploy. Now, when I'm playing, this is always open for 2 reasons. One, because I throw darts in there. Being able to reload all of your blasters is super important, and having 20, 30 spare darts makes a big difference in my game. And 2, if I have to do a very fast reload. Usually I like to do retained reloads where you take the magazine you just took out of your blaster and put it back in the pouch where the replacement magazine came from. That's hard to do fast, even when you're well practiced, and so sometimes you need a quicker way to dump it. Dump pouch is a good use. If you need even faster, you can drop it on the ground. I like to retain my gear. It's less stuff to clean up later, and it's also less stuff I have to try to hunt down later. But it's there for those good reasons. It's also just helpful if you have to pick up MacGuffins or anything, drop them in your dump pouch. It's a great thing to use. And now we're on to the heavy stuff, my second line gear. And by heavy, I mean literally heavy, because this is the majority of my actual gear. Of course, my strifle, it's my primary. I'm gonna put it down now, but it lives over here on this 1-point sling. Now it is a 1-point sling made out of a 2-point sling. This is mostly because I usually run it as a 1-point, but if I know I'm going to be running a lot, or even if I just have a moment where I know I'm not fighting for a while, but I know I'm going to need to move, I will pull it apart, and I keep a extra sling loop on the front of my blaster so I can 2-point sling it and pull it with this little tab I put on tighter to my chest, so I can move faster without it running around. Slings, very important. Now, of course, for up in the front, I have my magazines. I carry 4 18-round magazines here, plus one in the blaster. It gives me 8 magazines, no, not 8. That gives me 5 magazines on hand, ready to use. Now, that's not all the magazines I use, and definitely not all the darts I use. Like I said, I usually keep a couple handfuls of darts in my dump pouch, as well as scavenging as I go a little bit, so I can reload these as I'm transitioning out. As a point, I find it a very good idea that whenever you're done with a zombie engagement and you have that moment of calm, even if you're not empty on a magazine, swap it for a fresh one. And then, as you're waiting, reload that one you just almost emptied. That way you're almost always as topped up as possible for when that massive horde comes through, or that moment where you have to keep moving and you don't have time to reload. So, my magazine's there. Just to the left of that is my hydration tube for my camelback. Most important thing in my loadout right here, my camelback. You have to stay hydrated. It's hot. It's hot today while I'm filming this. It's hot when we play. Even when it's not the summer, it's hot. Stay hydrated. We're moving a lot. We're staying active. Most important thing on my loadout. Just to the left of that is my in-game flashlight. This is an LED flashlight I bought off Amazon, I think. It's just a really nice, bright, white LED that I turned into a red light flashlight. If you want a video on how to do this, let me know in the comments and I'll make a quick one. But that's because, first of all, for the niceties of if I accidentally shine into someone's face, it's red. Because when I want a weapon light on my primaries, this is the flashlight that goes there. Usually doesn't live there, though I do carry a mount for it in my fanny pack. But it usually lives here on my side because I'm gonna need it to sweep up darts, look at my notes on the briefing or whatnot, so it's good to have on hand, and it sits right there. As a point, while I'm putting this back, just a reminder, practice with your stuff so you know where everything is and you don't have to look for it. It'll make you survive better, it'll make you faster, make your game more enjoyable. So now coming around to the back, I have 2 more magazines. These are in a different mag holder. My mag holders up front, I forgot to say, are 3D printed ones. I'll put a link in the description. Because these hold a little bit better, but still not great. Sometimes when I'm running hard, they will drop out. Luckily, they sit above my dump pouch, so usually they just fall in there, but these magazines are not for me, which is why they need to stay really tight, close to my body. Yes, on occasion when I'm run super empty up front, I can always pull one. I know what orientation they're in. I can pull one for a quick reload if I need to, but they're really there for my squad. I think you should always play HvZ with your friends and with the squad because it makes the whole thing more enjoyable. And so this is for them. There's usually someone else in the squad running full-length darts, so if they run completely dry, they can pull a magazine off my back and keep going, keeping me alive, keeping them alive. We love supporting each other. Last thing on my back is my camelback. Again, most important thing. I think I've got a 2 or 3 liter bladder in this one. Again, I'll put a link in the description. It's a super cheap one off Amazon. It works great, no complaints. So the last thing I have on my plate carrier is this admin patch. Right now I have an auxiliary patch on it. Those usually I'll have a Hound's Armory patch on there as well. And of course my here and no further Captain Xavier patch, because I think it's great for HvZ. There is a magazine patch attached to this admin pouch. Usually that's where my spare battery for my rifle goes. Although if I'm running my Alpha Trooper or if it's just one mission, I don't think I'm gonna need spare battery that day. I'll throw a granola bar or something in there just to have extra snack. Now in the admin pouch, I usually print off a map of where I am playing, as well as have a little notepad so I can write down the briefings. Now in some games, they will just give you a verbal briefing. Some games like EndWar will give you a printout. I like to have my phone on hand. Sometimes it's tucked up here, sometimes it's in my fanny pack. For those printout briefings, I tend to take a picture of those and to keep that on hand. But if it's just a verbal briefing, I'll jot down the notes and I'll put it up there. again, just to have things on hand. Now the last thing on this loadout is my shemagh. This is just a cheap, I don't know, $5 one, $10 one I got off Amazon. I just throw it around my neck because, like today, it is hot and you get sweaty and you get uncomfortable and your glasses fog up. So in between things, you can just towel off real quick. Makes you more comfortable, makes you feel better. Also having it around your neck keeps the sweat coming down your neck from draping down your back. It actually keeps you a little bit cooler. So that's my second line gear. Thank you so much for watching the full video. I hope you found this interesting, entertaining, helpful. Let me know down in the comments if you like any of my ideas or if you dislike any of my ideas. I love evolving my gear and always improving my gear. So thank you so much for your input. I hope you enjoyed and will subscribe and like and go check me out on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you all next time.